Yo, this is a motherfucker who needs no introduction. You are watching Breaking Records Radio.
I wanted to ask one more question here before we dive into some of the newer material, and I do want to talk about the newer material as well. But one of my favorite projects over the last 10 years was that evitaN record that you ended up dropping with Jarobi. Have you two discussed, ended up working together again on another evitaN record in the future, or even possibly releasing physicals of the original album, the one that came out in like 2014, 2015, because I had to like burn a CD, like I burn a CDR and like print off the cover and whatnot. I have it somewhere here, but it's just my little ghetto like version of it. I want like a physical copy, let it be vinyl, tape, whatever. Is that ever going to happen in the future?
It is. It is. Which is like really kind of cool. I've you know, like since I started this D&D project, I've really gotten cool with Ma Dukes and Tony, who's her husband. And they've put me into a few different circles. One of them is having the ability to have vinyl, a vinyl situation for a lot of my independent work. evitaN being an independent project that came out on my own label, Pool of Genius, and was just this amazing journey and project. Like it was like, you know, like I had been releasing music on my own under, you know, this Pool of Genius moniker. And I had just released From the Black Pool of Genius, I believe. And
so good too. That was another one. It's not on really Spotify either. And it's I don't think the evitaN record's on Spotify. I don't think that record's on Spotify. It's I want both of those projects. I have a CD though, at least, of Black Pool of Genius, which is great.
Dope. Yeah. So in doing these projects, you know, on my own and doing my own stuff on my own label, I was like, you know what, like it'd be advantageous to have a few different artists, you know, come through the, you know, on my own entity. And so Jarobi was just really came to my mind, and I was like, you know, Jarobi would be so dope to have a solo, just even an EP would be dope to have of Jarobi by himself. And so Jarobi lived in Atlanta at the time, and he's a chef. So at the time he was really, really busy, you know, as his son down there and, you know, his job, what have you. And so he was like, yo, I'm just too busy, this and that, and he wouldn't entertain it. Life had it that, you know, I reached out to him maybe 6 months later, and he had just moved back to New York. And he was like, you know what, why not? You know what I'm saying? I'm here, this and the other. I'm like, yo, you serious? He's like, yeah. So I'm like, don't worry about nothing. I booked a session. You know, I pick out a few tracks. He comes to the session, and in my head, I'm like, you know, like Jarobi's been with Tribe from the very beginning. He's performed with them all over the world. People don't know him for rhyming, but there's no way that he's been in the room that long and been on stage that long and can't rock. There's no way in my head. So I say to myself, you know, like, well, I'll do the first song with him. That way to kind of ease him into the process. And so the first song, like, you know, like, I'll help you write, you know, first joint, you know, write your verse. I'll write a verse. I'll take care of the hook, and, you know, just kind of ease him into, and that song was Keep Keeping On, which is dope. And, you know, and blew us away for it to be the first thing we've ever done. And, you know, like, he played it for Tip. Tip is like, yo, y'all should be a group, and all this stuff. Everybody's coming back like, yo, y'all got to keep doing more. So I'm like, you know, like, I don't know about a group, but come on, let's do some more. So we do a second song. We do a third song. And the more we do, like, the more I'm like, you know what? Like, maybe, like, this might be something really cool. We wound up doing 20-something songs, you know what I'm saying? And had a really dope project, had reached out to friends of both of ours and had different cats come through, jump on this, jump on that. And, you know, even reached out to a gamut of producers, and we're getting all kinds of dope production from different cats, that some with names, a lot with no names, but all of them were just dope cats. And we put together this really cool project. And, you know, it was a lesson for me as far as the promotion and marketing of it, because I, in my warped mind, honestly felt like all people need to do is hear that Dres and Jarobi have an album together with features, and this shit is going to be on fire. And it's like, to this day, people do not realize that album even exists. And
it went really under the radar. And like I said, there was no physical copy of it either. So, but people that were kind of tuned in to weekly releases at that kind of moment, they heard it. And I think everyone that's heard it loves it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, right. It's one of those albums, like, everyone has heard it, is like, yo, that album is amazing. But there's so many people that, like, if I speak about it, they're like, when did this happen? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and, you know, it taught me a lesson about not taking things for granted and about setting things up and about taking the moment to establish and introduce and preview and, you know, like, just the whole marketing aspect, you know, and why it's so important, regardless of who you might think you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I was like, okay, cool. That was a cool lesson. And for us to have done this really dope, prolific project prior to the last Tribe album, and for Tribe, for Tip to have, you know, kind of peeped, you know, the ability of Jarobi, and they gave him a portion of the reins on their last project. It meant so much to me because I felt like, you know, like, you know, it was a joy to watch him just blossom as an MC, literally from a seedling to a flower. And to know that some of that energy was a result of me asking him to do a project with, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, like, you know, and him agreeing to do it, and people seeing, you know, his ability that I believed in before I even saw it, you know what I'm saying, to come into fruition. Like, you know, like, it was just the most amazing thing. And, you know, Jarobi is, you know, a brother to me, you know what I'm saying, sincerely. And, you know, sometimes, you know, like in families, you know, like sometimes brothers, you know, might not see each other, but at, you know, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and whatever. But, you know, whenever they see each other, they're brothers, they hug, they, you know, and they talk about everything that's taking place in the interim. And that's me and Jarobi. Like, you know, like, we don't speak all the time, but I'm there if he needs me, he's there if I need him. And we've spoken to doing another evitaN project. You know what I'm saying? Like, we both hold it in very high regard and saw everything it should have been. And, you know, and even at this point, you know, like, I feel like, you know, D&D coming in this summer is gonna help that project. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna put more people, you know, onto, you know, Black Pool of Genius, AWM, or any of the projects that I might have done that might have went under the radar. I think, you know, it's important to keep creating. It's important to keep doing the work. And even if it doesn't work right then and there, you know, like, your catalog at some point will be reflective of the energy you've put into it. Excuse me. So, you know, so that's another crazy project that, you know, I can't wait for people to discover. You know, evitaN is really dope. Wow.
Right now she on an elevator. I'm not trying to waste your time or give you all of mine. I just wanna vibe with your vibes. I don't